Let's look at section 2.3 and 2.4. We introduced percentiles. And so percentiles, as you can read here, is a measure of location. We see that we're looking at a percent of a certain values below another value. And so the value at the kth percentile cuts off the lower k percent of values. And so when we think about this, the 50th percentile cuts off, it's a cutoff point for the lower half of the data. It cuts the data in half. Half the data is below this point, your 50%. So if you're at the 50th percentile, then at most 50% of the values are lower than your value. And we're going to learn again, we call that the median also. And so let's take a look at some examples here that have already been completed. Here's a set of data, 40 data values. And so what we're looking at is 85 centimeters out of this data is what percentile. And so we have this equation here that determines that how many values, what percent of all the values are below 85. So we look and we see 85 is located here. And so we see 10 out of 40, and that's 25%. 25% of the values are below 85. And so we would say that P25, 85 is the 25th percentile because 25% of the values are below that. How about 93? 93 here is the 95th percentile. As you can see, 38 values are below 93, and that turns out to be 95%. And so then 93 is the 95th percentile because 95% of the values are below 93. Now let's look at how to answer this question, a reverse question. What if you're not given a value, but you're given a percentile and say, what is the 21st percentile? What is P21? And so what we're thinking about is what value, right, out of the data has 21% of the data below this given value. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for that given value. It turns out to be 83.9. How do we get that? We get that from taking 21% of 40, and that gives you 8.4. And so then you go back over here to the list and you look, there's the first one, second one, third one, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. So here's the eighth value, here's the ninth value. So what we're looking for is some value in between here because 8.4 is not a possible value. And so what you do in this case, since 8.4 is the middle, what we settle on is a standard procedure is that you just look at the data that is the next value up. And so 83.9 becomes the 21st percentile. Again, that's because 8.4, this is the 8th value and the 9th value. It's in between. So that's what you have. The 50th percentile cuts the data in half. So here is 50% of the values are right here. It's in between here, right? And so you can see 50% of 40 is 20. So here's the 20th value. And so we want the value where half of them are below this value. So this is not the half point. This one is too, but because we're at this point, what we do is we find the value in between. Since we're at a location, we find the value in between the 20th and the 21st location. And then that would be our 50th percentile. In this case, you find the in between of 86.7 and 87.1, and that's turns out to be 86.9 because it's halfway in between.